Agricultural practices. When plants of the same kind are grown and cultivated at one place on a large scale, it is called a crop. For example, crop of a wheat means that all the crops grown in a field are that of a wheat. You already know that crops are of a different types like cereals, vegetables and fruits. These can be classified on the basis of the season in which they grow. India is a vast country. You know, the climatic conditions like temperature, humidity and rainfall vary from one region to another. Accordingly, there is a rich of variety of crops grown in different parts of the country. Despite this diversity, two broad cropping patterns can be identified. These are first Kharif crops and second Rabi crops. So what are the Kharif crops? The crops which are sown in the rainy season are called Kharif crops. The rainy season in India is generally from June to September. Paddy, maize, soybean, groundnut, cotton, etc. are Kharif crops. Second, Rabi crops. The crops grown in the winter season are called Rabi crops. Their time period is generally from October to March. Example of Rabi crops are wheat, gram, pea, mustard and linseed. Besides this, pulses and vegetables are grown during summer at many places. Basic practices of crop production. Cultivation of crops involves several activities undertaken by farmers over a period of time. You may find that these activities are similar to those carried out by a gardener or even by you when you grow ornamental plants in your house. These activities or tasks are referred to as agricultural practices. These activities are listed below. First, preparation of soil. Second, sowing. Third, adding manure and fertilizers. Fourth, irrigation. Fifth, protecting from weeds. Sixth, harvesting. And seventh, storage. Preparation of soil. The preparation of soil is the first step before growing a crop. One of the most important tasks in agriculture is to turn the soil and loosen it. This allows the roots to penetrate deep into the soil. The loose soil allows the roots to breathe easily even when they go deep into the soil. Why does the loosening of a soil allow the roots to breathe easily? The loosened soil helps in the growth of earthworms and microbes present in the soil. These organisms are friends of the farmer, since they further turn and loosen the soil and add humus to it. But why does the soil need to be turned and loosened? You know that soil contains minerals, water, air and some living organisms. In addition, dead plants and animals get decomposed by soil organisms. In this way, various nutrients held in the dead organisms are released back into the soil. These nutrients are again absorbed by plants. Since only a few centimeters of the top layer of a soil supports a plant growth, turning and loosening of a soil brings the nutrient rich soil to the top so that plants can use these nutrients. Thus, turning and loosening of a soil is very important for cultivation of crops. The process of loosening and turning the soil is called tiling and pluffing. This is done by using a pluff. Pluff are made of wood or iron. If the soil is very dry, it may need watering before ploughing. The ploughed field may have big pieces of soil called crumbs. It is necessary to break these crumbs with a plank. The field is leveled or sowing as well as for irrigation purposes. The leveling of a soil is done with the help of a leveler. Sometimes manure is added to the soil before tilling. This helps in proper mixing of manure with soil. The soil is watered before sowing. Agricultural implements. Before sowing the seeds, it is necessary to break soil to the size of grains to get better yield. This is done with the help of various tools. The main tools used for this purpose are the pluff, hoe and cultivator. First is a pluff. This is being used since ancient times for tilling the soil, adding fertilizers to the crop, removing the weeds, scraping of soil, etc. This implement is made of wood and is drawn by a pair of bulls or other animals like horses, camels, etc. It contains a strong triangular iron strip called pluff shear. The main part of the pluff is long log of wood which is called pluff shaft. The other end is attached to a beam which is placed on the bull's necks. One pair of bulls and a man can easily operate the pluff. The indigenous wooden pluff is increasingly being replaced by iron pluffs nowadays. Second is hoe. It is a simple tool which is used for removing weeds and for loosening of the soil. It has a long rod of wood or iron. A strong, broad and bent plate of iron is fixed to one of its ends
and work like a blade. It is pulled by animals. And third is cultivator. Nowadays, ploughing is done by tractor-driven cultivator. The use of cultivator saves labor and time also. So after it, sowing. Sowing is the most important part of the crop production. Before sowing, good quality seeds are selected. Good quality seeds are clean and healthy seeds of a good variety. Farmers prefer to use seeds which give a high yield. Traditional tools. The tool used traditionally for sowing seeds is shaped like a funnel. The seeds are filled into the funnel, passed down through 2 or 3 pipes having sharp end. These ends pierce into the soil and place seeds there.
Seed drill. Nowadays, the seed drill is used for the sowing with the help of tractors. This tool sows the seeds uniformly at proper distances and depths. It ensures that seeds get covered by the soil after sowing. This prevents damage caused by birds. Sowing by using a seed drill saves time and labor. An appropriate distance between the seeds is important to avoid overcrowding of crops. This allows plants to get sufficient sunlight, nutrients and water from the soil. Sometimes a few plants have to be removed to prevent overcrowding. After it, adding manure and fertilizers. The substances which are added to the soil in the form of nutrients for the healthy growth of plants are called manure and fertilizers. Fertilizers are chemical substances which are rich in a particular nutrient. How are these different from manure? Fertilizers are produced in factories. Some examples of fertilizers are urea, ammonium sulfate, sulfur phosphate, potash, NPK means nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. The use of fertilizers has helped farmers to get better yield of crops such as wheat, paddy and maize. But excessive use of fertilizers has made the soil less fertile. Fertilizers have also become a source of water pollution. Therefore, in order to maintain the fertility of the soil, we have to substitute fertilizers by organic manure or leave the field uncultivated in between two crops. The use of manure improves the soil texture as well as its water retaining capacity. It replenishes the soil with the nutrients. Another method of replenishing the soil with nutrients is through crop rotation. This can be done by growing different crops alternately. Earlier, farmer in northern India used to grow legumes as fodder in one season and wheat in the next season. This helped in the replenishment of the soil with nitrogen. Farmers are being encouraged to adopt this practice. In the previous classes, you have learned about rhizobium bacteria. These are present in the nodules of the roots of leguminous plants. They fix atmospheric nitrogen. So what are the main differences in fertilizer and manure? Here we see that fertilizers is an inorganic salt. Fertilizer is prepared in factories. A fertilizer does not provide any humus to the soil. Fertilizers are very rich in plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. And what about manure? Manure is a natural substance obtained by the decomposition of cattle dung, human waste and plant residues. Manure can be prepared in the field. Manure provides a lot of humus to the soil. Manure is relatively less rich in plant nutrients. Advantages of manure. The organic manure is considered better than the fertilizers. This is because it enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. It makes the soil porous, due to which exchange of gases becomes easy. It increases the number of friendly microbes. It improves the texture of the soil.